Action.
Welcome.
It's been a hell of a jump from season 1 to season 2.
We ratcheted up the action this season.
This is a crime drama that's set within Navajo culture.
We have Navajo writers, we have Native writers, and I like what they've done.
I love that there's 3 villains this season.
Do you know who I am?
I'm the villain, guys. One of the villains.
Troubled, deeply broken characters. We're no stranger to that on Dark Winds.
There's so much nuance and so many details.
You can't get more 70s than that.
It's very rich.
Got a few bruises from the experience.
We leave the audience wanting more.
We're gonna go and try not to screw up anymore. Thanks, AMC.
You have a home in the middle of the Navajo Nation and there's no other homes around it. And it's so beautiful. And the sun goes down and it takes on this other quality, which is you're out there by yourself. And you realize because of the expanse of it, it can be deadly. And in our storylines, these are police officers that need to respond to calls, that need to traverse hundreds of miles to provide backup.
Yeah, Reza's getting more complicated.
When hasn't it?
So there's this beauty and there's this sense of danger and mystery.
The landscapes here are really gorgeous. The lighting is amazing. The shadows move, the clouds move across the landscape. It really lends itself to sort of a noirish vibe.
You got yourself involved in some Navajo witchy witch here.
For me, noir is not just limited to what the film looks like. It's reflective of what characters are going through. This is a perfect story for that because Leaphorn finds himself in a very morally ambiguous place where he's trying to stay on track. So we use lights and shadows to emphasize that. You may see Leaphorn struggling with a decision to break his moral code, and you might see half of his face in shadow and half of his face in light.
It's about troubled, deeply broken characters, and we're no stranger to that on Dark Winds.
I'm absolutely grateful for the blueprint that we've been given by the late Tony Hillerman.
I think we've kept the main meat of the Hillerman novels, but we have Navajo writers, we have Native writers, 5 of them on the team this year, and I've tried to embrace their storytelling, and I like what they've done.
And it's truly a blessing for now Navajo life to be able to be shown in such a positive way.
We couldn't do this without the support of the Navajo Nation. There's a new administration.
We had the first female vice president of the Navajo Nation here, Michelle Montoya.
The conversation that we had was really centered around the authenticity of the depiction of the people, the culture, the language, and the issues that we're diving into.
There's a Navajo man in there, and if you're not careful, you're gonna kill him.
And they love the series as much as we do. So it's really a great partnership.
It's a nice story. We have to make sure our babies hear them.
Storytelling is a huge part of the Navajo people. We are an oral history people.
Bringing in Navajo writers is not only a part of the process, it's necessary because their perspective is so valuable.
The Navajo language is extremely important to every Navajo citizen. And I really appreciate how the actors that are not Navajo have taken it upon themselves to do their very best, to get the sounds right, to get the wording right.
They're not fluent Navajo speakers, so you have to work around that. And I'd work on scripts with the actors, the writers, and the showrunner. So that gave me a lot of opportunity to provide some input on some of the words, some of the stories, accuracy.
My dad always said Navajo is a language of love.
And to me, that's powerful, just to even have it recorded. Now it can live forever, and it's going to be through Dark Winds.
It's really important for natives, Navajos, to be a part of our storytelling, be a part in crew, whether it be camera, editing, not just acting or writing, but all other elements. I am Navajo, Hopi, and Laguna Pueblo.
I'm Red River Métis and Cree.
Laguna Pueblo.
Navajo.
Lakota Man.
Southern Cheyenne.
I'm very proud of my Diné culture.
The world had to change for us to make this show, and it did.
And action.
Shows like this, like Dark Winds, we're opening doors for future generations, you know?
These are new stories to people and stories that they've never seen before. They're seeing cultures that they've never seen before. And I'm very happy to be a part of that.
And it's not the physical that limits a man. It's what a man stands for.
We feel really blessed and fortunate that we're able to do this with the Navajo Nation and that we're entertaining people worldwide with something they hadn't seen. I just feel incredibly fortunate to be here.
The story of the season is really about Joe Leaphorn and how he comes to terms with the fact that his son was murdered.
This is the man who murdered my son, Bern. I'm not gonna listen.
The fact that Joe's a cop and he wants to get to the bottom of this, so he has to somewhat put his grief in the background and do his job.
Emma, I said I'm fine.
You don't look fine.
What is the emotional impact of this investigation on this man? How does it affect his family life? What kind of pressures come to bear on him as a police officer as he gets deeper into this investigation and he starts to think about things like revenge for his son's death?
I see. This is personal.
And how does that jibe with his moral code? It's just a lot of grist to work with, you know, exactly the kind of story I love. You can tune into the show and engage in the Navajo cultural aspects of the story, or you can get hooked onto the emotional train, which is what I try to hook onto when we're writing these things. In this case, it's Joe Leaphorn's journey.
You're something else, Joe Leaphorn.
Leaphorn is so great in his wide brim hat. He's the Indian cowboy.
He's got 8 shots. He'll make them count.
It was fun to play Joe Leaphorn. I've gone to some places where I haven't been able to go with a character.
You're just gonna stand there?
Like the scenes with Joe Running Fox, who plays Henry, my father.
I still gotta solve your cases for you, huh?
It's always been a cantankerous relationship.
It's very important to see where Joe comes from and how he got to his point in his life.
I think he had different plans for Joe.
Worst decision you ever made was letting that woman drag you back here.
I don't think that sat well with Henry. So I think there's that dynamic going on quite a bit in their relationship, and he's got to deal with that as well.
Emma.
Being able to explore the family dynamic between Joe and Emma, husband and wife relationship, or two people that care for each other, love each other, and how they deal with that grief.
They both are grieving differently and separately. I've been trying, Joe, so hard to move forward without him, you know? All Emma can do is just be that support, that light for him.
But what you feel is the matriarchal strength of a woman who understands her culture.
What I love about her is that she is my grandmother. She is my auntie, my sister, my mother. One of my most favorite moments is when Emma holds the meeting at her house to talk about her work that she does, to encourage the women to have at-home births.
You are not to write or publish anything from this meeting without my permission. I'm really just here to listen.
It's important for the viewers to see the power of women working together, the power of community. Staying quiet is more risky.
The thing I love the most about playing Bernadette is she is who she is.
Well, you look like sh**.
She's multi-layered. She's a very complex character. She's very vulnerable, and yet she has to put on this tough front. What the hell? I'm excited for the audience to see that there's more than just the stoic Indian face. And it's kind of like her opening a door and allowing the audience to come in and see all these other layers to her.
Hey.
Hey.
And the relationship between Bernadette and Joe is a father-daughter relationship.
Carburetor?
Something wrong with the throttle cable?
There's a strong love for each other there.
Thank you.
The scene where Joe's tuning up his motorcycle, it's kind of a quiet, silent moment between them, which is nice. It's a great contrast because all their other scenes, they're on the go, they're firing guns, they're being chased. It's chaos, so it's a nice moment between them. And then another favorite scene was with Zakota, the actor Zakota, who plays Dean. It was the send-off of him to Vietnam. Even though he's not recognized as an American in his own country, not recognizing him as a human being.
It's for protection. We leave the land of the four sacred mountains.
And it was just an emotional one.
Hey.
I think when you love a character so much, even if there's hard days on set or hard things that you may have to do for the character, you just surrender and flow with it. The most challenging is the fact that Bernadette has to make out with Chee because Kiowa in real life, we're like siblings.
Me and Jess, man, I mean, we go back. We're like family. We're real close. Oh my God, what was that?
A little out of jurisdiction, aren't you, Lieutenant?
Yate Jim Chee. There's no Joe Leaphorn without a Jim Chee. It's a dynamic duo.
You borrowed a sense of humor since I saw you last.
There's just more levity this season with that relationship. Joe realizes that Jim Chee is still kind of searching for his identity and kind of what he wants to do, and you know, the dressing up and being a PI, the different girlfriends.
I don't want to say Chee is a little materialistic this season, but he's a little more flashy and he's not so buttoned up.
I started working with Kiowa, and he put on the 70s clothes, and everybody right away said, wow, there's Jim Chee.
Hi, Jim Chee here, Private Eye. Come on down to Rogers Trading Post where I can solve all of your problems.
And it's just great that Chee has free reign, make his own rules, take whatever case he wants, and seeing that all the way through. He needs that for growth, to know that he can do this on his own and not have the backing of the FBI or the NTP or having Joe there or Bernadette.
I don't work here anymore, remember?
It's a really great season to just explore what Chee has been going through and him kind of reinventing himself.
It's so great to see Zahn and Kiowa or Jessica or Deanna work together because they just have a natural chemistry. And if there's a thematic in this, is that they're all searching for themselves, for their home, for their place. It's really a great partnership.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Last few years, life's gotten cheap. The monsters ain't just in the shadows, they're in broad damn daylight.
This guy's a villain. You can't, like, I'm the villain, guys. One of the villains. Big villain.
Do you know who I am?
What I love about what John Wirth has done with Graham and all the other writers is created someone with a past that isn't just an amorphous evil. It's someone where you can pinpoint an event that changed the psyche of someone and their trajectory forever.
What did you do?
As we meet him at the beginning of the series, he's beginning to unravel. So Nick took that and ran with it, and it was great.
The thing about rabid animals, they're unpredictable.
Joe Leaphorn knows enough to be afraid of this character, of this evil, and Joe Leaphorn is brave enough to pursue him.
By get him, you mean?
Any means necessary. That relationship has been fun to explore as an actor. That's what we always want as actors, to have those types of scenes that we can dig down deep.
6 men dead. For what? 6 men have died since we began this conversation.
I am the agent of change in Joe Leaphorn's personal journey.
It was your son.
I ruined his life in some ways, and then I pushed him to a place that I don't think he ever thought he could go to. I'm the devil that lives on his shoulder, and I come into him and I change him.
You think you can shut me up? I'm the voice in your head now.
And that's really, I think, in a lot of ways, Colton's whole purpose on this show. I'm shoeless in a blizzard with a rope around my neck and cuffs behind my back, trying to just break him down. And that whole experience with Zahn, who is just wonderful and intense, made all of that, even though sometimes a real pain, really fun.
We're in New Mexico. It's the middle of winter. It was very cold. We had the wonderful guidance of Michael Nankin, who directed episode 3 and 4. He brought a lot to it. As an actor, I enjoy being directed. So physically, it was difficult. Got a few bruises from the experience. But I enjoyed every second of it. I am tired of chasing this guy.
Can we talk about this really quick? Come on in here, guys. A. Martinez, a living legend who we all love and adore, as Gordo's sitting. He's sitting right here. I'm 225 pounds, I'm 6 feet tall, I'm a serial killer.
Yeah, I'm taking you in, boy.
Yeah, good luck, boy. Boom!
Oh, no! And then he flips over a freaking chasm.
Gordo.
So if you're wondering how I escaped, I kicked him in the face.
Let's get out of here.
One more step and the Undertaker will be picking buckshot from your teeth.
There's a word in my language. It's called washichu. That term in Lakota means one who takes the fat, or one who takes the good part of the meat and takes it for himself, doesn't share it. And I think that's what BJ Vines is the pure definition of that term, washichu. He's a very wealthy man, border town on the reservation. I think takes advantage of certain aspects of the Navajo culture, makes it his own. I think he's also a sociopath.
That's the way it looks. That's the way it is.
And I think that makes a really good villain.
What's the charge?
Conspiracy to commit homicide.
I'll have my lawyers up your ass before the sun goes down. And still there when it comes up again. You have a lot of fun doing the villain. How about some pants? Nope. I mean, you still have to find some good, some kind of thing that you can love about the character, or it wouldn't be human. But I've had a hell of a time trying to find something good about this guy, something that I would like. Jesus Christ, Leaphorn. What are you doing?
At first, we kind of struggled over the idea of Joe Leaphorn actually murdering BJ Vines. I personally didn't think that was a characteristic of Joe to actually get justice by murdering another human being.
Get up.
He had this idea for the long walk, which we ended up doing with BJ Vines.
You know about the long walk? Over 200 of my ancestors, men, women, and children, died because they were forced to walk across the desert barefoot. Without food, without water. Out there are the spirits of all the people you and people like you have killed. I want them to be the last thing you see.
And I really thought it was cool and I embraced it.
It's kind of a surprising twist. John Deal was a trooper. It was cold. He was out there in his bare feet in a bathrobe, playing the scene over and over and over again.
Hey guys, pictures up.
You know, they say actually freezing to death
is the best way to go. It's the best way to go.
It was really beautiful, the way they lit everything up. It was magical. The makeup artist, Sue Laprelle, she's great. And it took like 2.5, 3 hours to put on.
It's complicated, but most of all, it's a historic allegory of good and evil, and it is. It's literally good and evil.
Chee! The Lagana lady wants to talk to you.
Rosemary Vines and Chee. It's a little cat and mouse game going on.
Don't scold me, Mr. Chee. We've only just met. You're not quite sure who's got the upper hand from 1 minute to the next. You think Rosemary's got it, and then you realize that he's kind of one-upping her, and then she has to try a different tack. It's really fun. They're good characters to butt heads, I think, and to play off each other. Can you do that for me? She is probably putting Chee in danger. That's not her primary goal. But if that happens and it's a side effect of getting to what she wants to achieve, then it might be necessary sort of collateral damage in her mind.
What if you told me the truth? Everything.
We had to be very careful that we were empathetic to Rosemary Vines, even though she's the femme fatale. And Kiowa was very good at this.
Ready and action!
When he sits in the doorwell and helps her put on her oxygen. And there's just such a beat of empathy for this character that's trying to seduce him. And I think that's what makes Kiowa's character so great, is that that's naturally who Kiowa is. He's a kind person.
Okay, and cut.
Sorry, I did that whole awkward thing with my arm there first. I should have waited.
We have a new production designer. His name is Guy Barnes. Guy and his wife, Wendy, capture the 70s elements really well. They're very nuanced and little details.
The copy percolator, typewriters, the old rotary dial phones, everything reeks of that time period, you know, and it's amazing.
The 70s aspect, I mean, I was an adult in the 70s, and there are things I remember culturally which are coming to play, like the lottery.
I got picked.
What do you mean you got picked?
The draft.
Bernadette having dated Elvis.
The Elvis Presley.
When I was stationed in Germany.
Wardrobe, obviously.
You can't get more 70s than that.
If you want a real hit of the 70s, look at Kiowa Gordon and the costuming that he's in.
The suits. Definitely the suits. It's a new synthetic polymer. Space age, Joe. Custom made. Made me feel super fly. Just gave Chee such an internal swagger.
I have him putting on sunglasses and walking to the middle of the road and doing long looks like a Western, and he fits right into the 70s tone of the show. And I think we all love seeing him do it.
All right, cool.
Two cameras, Mark.
And action.
So the scene that we're doing right now is the big dun 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 kind of moment, and it's the big reveal of piecing together the mystery of what's happened to Joe Leaphorn's son.
Vines blew up the well to spook Drumco into selling it to him for cheap. And he didn't care that it cost 6 people their lives.
This is our tribal police office set. It's probably our biggest set. We do a lot in here.
We're gonna go and try not to screw up anymore. Thanks, AMC.
Like a lot of movie sets, it's built a little bit overscale so we can get a crew in here. But you have to be very careful so that you don't give away that it's a set. And one of the ways I try to do that is I keep the camera moving at all times, and I try to keep the actors moving at all times. Constantly revealing how many people were here and what their reactions were. They kept the scene kind of swirling around.
Let's bag this son of a bitch. Let's go, 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 go.
What makes the tribal police station special, I think, are two things. Number one, the character and the story that we're creating in that space, but also the noir atmosphere of it. The greenish gray walls, they provide a mood.
I think it echoes turquoise, which is a staple of Navajo culture. I also love how it plays off of these orange and red hues in her skin. It makes for a beautiful, scenic image. And I'm really excited for everyone to watch season 2, literally just for the cinematography.
And then you have the levity of Bernadette Manuelito puts a goat in one of the cells, and I just kept thinking, what about the smell?
We're doing this noir look this season. We find that it's most successful when, like old film noir, the lighting and the camera angles are ways to reveal the internal emotions of the character. When you have a character who is filled with conflict, who's filled with darkness, who exists in a place where things don't make sense, then the camera work can reflect that. And so we've been trying our best to externalize the internal world of the characters. Every scene tells you how to shoot it. But it's always about the drama, it's always about the story.
You either come inside or be the bad Navajo out roaming the streets.
You invited me into your trailer.
Offer expires at the count of 3. 1.
For the storylines between Chee and Bernadette, when she first encounters Chee in the hospital, she's holding back how she truly feels.
Don't suppose you got a plate?
Seriously, this is what we're doing?
I think it's her still struggling to fully open her heart.
It's an intimate situation, and there's a lot of subtext to what's going on in there because that scene was about twice as long, and as we were editing, I just kept stripping out those lines about their personal relationship. So the text is no longer there, but all the subtext brought by the actors remains. I'm quite happy with the way the scene plays because it feels like there's more there, and there is. We're just not hearing it.
We ratcheted up some of the action this season.
I enjoy the physical parts of acting. You're always moving, your body's moving, and it keeps you in the scene.
Episode 1 opens with a shootout at Colton's trailer. It was a lot of fun to do.
It doesn't look like much on the outside, but on the inside, this is Colton Wolf's trailer.
They really made that trailer come alive, and it makes it that much more real to get into character, to get into that feeling of the stakes of it being extremely dangerous.
Navajo Tribal Police, come out!
It's just spectacular. Walking into the Colton trailer set and seeing how creepy it is with the dolls and the different aspects of his personality within that trailer.
The dolls and the bomb-making materials were in the script. So then we sit down with John and with the director, Chris, and try and expand on what's in the script and start bringing that personality into the trailer.
So if you look around, you got all the dream catchers, and then all these creepy dolls as well.
It's the dolls, it's the wiring, it's the bombs, it's the OCD layout. That's what makes it unsettling.
Okay, so now I think we need to pick which ones we're going to tie our sparks into.
The trailer it had to be rebuilt in the last couple of days with special interior walls that will blow up. And those were all manufactured and painted, now squibbed and ready to blow up in about 10 minutes.
Rehearsing?
Rehearsing.
The squibs will all go off simulating gunfire, and it's easy to react to because they're actually going off, and it makes it more realistic for us as actors to react. And it's very loud.
All these wired dots and all these pieces of tape are all squibs. They're all tiny little explosives. I have 25 of them going off in 4 seconds, and I have 3 times where I can do that. So we're gonna put the actors in there, and we're gonna blow the crap out of that place.
Down, down!
There we cut!
The timeline of the novel runs about 30 years. Our timeline for this entire season, 9 days. I still think we have done a faithful adaptation of the book.
You take care of it?
Yeah. For example, the Colton Wolf character is one of the best villains that Tony Hillerman wrote, and he's complicated in the novels. The writers really grabbed onto it and explored it and came up with some wonderful nuance and drama.
When I read Colton Wolf, I said to myself, wow, this is somebody that I want to see on screen. And then Nicholas plays it incredibly well. I still can't quite find him as a character, and I think that that's the most unnerving part about Colton Wolf.
Have you found her?
The idea that He was looking for his mother, and he was hiring private detectives to find his mother. That was in the novel. We sort of conceived the idea that he himself had murdered his mother when he was a child. We spent a lot of time talking about what we would see and what we would ask our child actor to do. It was challenging. I think we did it as respectfully as we possibly could.
Mom?
When I got invited to the party this season, I had a lot of conversations with George R.R. Martin about this. He was a friend of Tony Hillerman. He is an enthusiastic supporter of the books.
There were 4 books that featured Joe Leaphorn, 4 novels that Tony wrote. And then he invented Jim Chee, and he wrote 4 novels about him. Many years later, he wrote 18 novels. Bernadette came in. When we had the challenge of adapting these books, we loved not only Joe Leaphorn, but also Jim Chee and Bernadette. We have the mix of all 3 characters, which is exciting.
I know the books so well. I actually review the books to this day. I mean, as we're shooting, not only do I look at the scripts, but I'm looking at the books. And they're so intertwined now.
I think some of our audience will be coming because they're fans of the Tony Hillerman novels. Other people are mystery fans, and they want to follow a great mystery. We have a large Native audience, and they're coming to see a realistic portrayal of their culture. And we've gone to great lengths to get all those details right.
Thanks for your time.
You ever heard of the People of Darkness?
Rosemary Vines is a character in the People of Darkness novel. She isn't quite the same character as she was realized in our 6 episodes. So we hired Jerry, and she was much different than the very frail character that I pictured. She's got so much power and dynamism that I began to think maybe there's more to her than I imagined.
Do you mind? Well, actually, my first episode that I shot, I didn't know what the end game was, and I'm not entirely sure that John had made up his mind at that point yet either. Because when I came back, he was very excited. The whole masterminding her husband's downfall and that whole twist came about a little bit later. Couldn't be simpler.
At the end of the show, Leaphorn takes BJ Vines out to the desert, and he leaves him, and he says, you know, take a hike, and he essentially kills him. I can't tell you how many hours Zahn and I talked about this, and I had a different ending in mind until finally he said, I don't think I can do what you want. The fact that he's a Navajo, he's an indigenous person, changed everything.
Killing, you know, in Navajo culture is taboo. There's repercussions, and Leaphorn's character respects our tradition, our culture. We want to get it right.
He's got his finger on the pulse of Joe Leaphorn, knowing what his obligations are as an actor to the character, to natives and their portrayal on screen.
Gordo Senna and Joe Leaphorn talk about the longest walk and what my character's relatives went through. Great uncle was on the long walk, the 400-mile walk in the middle of the winter without food and water and barefoot, and what the U.S. government did to the Navajo people. The place was full of government rations. They all gone bad. Soldiers didn't want the officers to see any provisions being thrown away, so we fed them to the Indians.
Some things never change.
So I thought that event and what happens to BJ Vines would tie together quite well. So Joe Leaphorn takes BJ Vines out in the desert. Walk.
That was Joe Leaphorn's solution, and Joe Leaphorn's old school poetic justice. Being in the same situation that people put his relatives in. And Joe Leaphorn can live with that.
But Joe's got to deal with those ghosts as well.
It's powerful and really resonant.
What's going on?
I'm taking the Border Patrol job. We talk a lot about closure in the season, and what does closure look like?
How do we leave Bernadette and Chee this season? My answer is we leave the audience wanting more.
It all kind of culminates in the final scene when Chee shows up in uniform and she's packing her car and she's leaving.
Guess I rubbed off on you after all.
Not enough.
And then they kiss
which is a gift to the audience who want those two to be together.
Prepping for that, I told him I was gonna chew on a lot of garlic and kubasa, breathe in his face, make it weird.
And I'm just like, are you kidding me? You know, sparks fly, but it's a bittersweet moment. She's going to the Border Patrol, and I'm back in uniform. I'm gonna fill her boots back at the NTP with Leaphorn. And it is a little sad for us to part ways at this junction, you know.
Bye, Chee.
Goodbye, Bernadette.
To be honest, when I read that, I called Zahn. I was like, are you guys firing me?
Don't worry, she's not leaving the series.
I think that also touches on an interesting topic for a lot of Native people that do choose to leave their res. Bernadette leaving her reserve is a testament to her courage.
You know that Bernadette's gonna always be tied to Joe and Emma, and that she's gonna always be tied to this home and this community. And it looks like Jim Chee's gonna be here as well. So there's hope for both of them. And love lost, somewhere is love gained. I certainly hope that they find a way back together.
You realize that closure is never what you hope it to be. Isn't that like real life?
I think it's very important that Chee is connected to these people that he's come back home to. He's always fighting that line between staying or going.
Hey, Chee, glad you're back.
Native Indigenous people, we always try to find some way to bring joy into the world, even if we are going through really hard times. When I first read about the first laugh ceremony, I thought it was just so perfect.
In the Native culture, when the baby first laughs, it becomes a real person, and they recognize it with the ceremony.
The person who makes the baby laugh is in charge of the ceremony.
You made him laugh.
Me? Shit, I didn't do anything. The laughing ceremony I'd never seen, but we have a cultural consultant, George Joe. He took me through it, and I blocked it out with actors.
I think it's a beautiful thing that Chee is able to be there in that moment and not take off like he was planning.
Some of the performers were familiar with the ceremony.
It's very sacred to me personally, as I had one for my own son.
So, honey, you're gonna have to make sure you help him with this distribution of the salt to all of his guests, okay?
It turned out to be a really significant scene.
And I really love that for Sally and for her baby. I think the number one question that I had was, what's next? We really do leave off on a cliffhanger. It's almost like a little bit of closure. This is the one point where she can have a little bit control over her own life and her choices, just for once. I hope she's happy.
While Joe's trying to connect the dots of his life, not just his relationship, but with the events that happened to his son, he uses the motorcycle as something to relieve him of his stress. When John brought up that the last scene would be me riding off with Emma into the sunset, what I pictured was those big 70mm films, the types of the vastness of the Monument Valley, and the picture of the motorcycle with two people on it.
It's like rekindling their partnership again. They still have each other, and continuing on through that path, will they find their harmony?
The final scene for me is unity. Perseverance, beauty, and Native pride.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for all your hard work this year. It's a great time for representation on television and films right now for Native peoples, and it's just wonderful that I'm a part of it.
I'm very proud to be associated with this show.
Working with Robert Redford and George has been a dream come true. This is something that they feel a deep connection to. Bob's a huge advocate for Native voices and Indigenous voices, and really giving these filmmakers the opportunity to tell their own story. It's very special.
I really appreciate everything everybody's done, all the effort, the sacrifice, the time.
You have Native people in their element, which is the American Southwest. You have sunsets and mesas, the Native culture and Native language. These beautiful skin tones from Native American people. We've seen all these elements before, but to have them all together, I think that's what people responded to because it was familiar to people, even though they hadn't seen it before like this.
It's been a pleasure to work with every single one of you guys.
Every person's story is important, so write it. I hope that this will influence everyone to take the time to look at their past, their present, and their future, and know that there are ways that you can make a story be heard.
Take care and thank you.